The absolute greatness of one Damian Lillard, who silenced him and sliced him up throughout the series and absolutely put on a 50 spot, and then he waves goodbye? Are you kidding me?
I know. It's funny because he would ask about it afterwards. It wasn't Russell Westbrook that prompted the wave goodbye, get out of our building, Oklahoma City, go home for the third straight year. After the first round, it was Schroeder.
Yeah, the way he was pointing to his watch.
Yeah, come on, Dennis Schroeder. You've been there for half a minute. You don't even put cream in your coffee yet. You're already talking trash after winning Game 3.
What a game!
This was a great
game.
I mean, look, Damian Lillard has been on this level this entire series. It was 10 3-pointers that he knocked down. The last shot, as BT mentioned, and if you or anywhere near a television, you've seen this shot because it was stupid. It was ill-advised. It was basically half court, and he drills it. And he knew he was going to drill it. Was awesome. Damian Lillard was the man. But he's not interested to talk about Damian Lillard. It's interesting to talk about the negative.
Well, we'll get to that. Because I got something great for you that I think you will love and everybody will love.
But the question is, Portland moves on. Yep. Are we buying them now? Like, after 2 straight years of first-round exits, first-round sweeps, really, they didn't win a game. Are we buying the Portland Trailblazers if Damian Lillard plays like this? Now, the reason I have just a little bit of pause, because he's a hero, man. He plays awesome hero ball, Damian Lillard. There was a point in this game with 7 minutes to go. They're down by 12. Right? And then at one point, they were down by 15.
Well, what was it when George hit that layup? They were down by 7 or 8?
Yes.
And then they just had empty possession after empty. And that's the problem with the Thunder.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's coaching. I'm not sure if it's roster construction. I know.
I'm talking about Portland was down 15.
Portland's a good team, man.
They are, but they were down to a team they had no business being
They're also down to a team that was desperate and fighting for their lives.
True.
And you know you're going to get their best shot.
True.
And they still won the game.
That's the only thing that worries me a little bit, is that they got down to a team they should have just stuck their foot on the throat and said, get out of here.
Well, they still won in 5.
Oh, I know
they still disposed of them pretty quickly.
But Game 5 at home, with the way that Damian Lillard was shooting from jump, right? It shouldn't have been a contest.
Well, I mean, the way you frame it, or am I buying the Blazers? Am I buying the Blazers to represent the Western Conference in the NBA Finals? No. Because they're going to have to play the Warriors or the Rockets. Am I buying the Blazers to beat the winner of the Nuggets, who have seemingly found their pace and should, I would imagine, probably go 7. I would think the Spurs find a way to win one more.
Me too.
But between the winner of the Denver Nuggets and the Spurs, I would think that certainly kind of a coin flip series. Yep. If it's the Spurs,
I would like Portland there.
So would I.
Yeah.
If it's the Spurs, I would love Portland. If it's the Nuggets, that's close. Denver's starting to get a little mojo. They've got some really good players, the altitude. And by the way, I said this to Diesel. Every time I watch the Denver Nuggets, they have different uniforms on. And every one of them's cool.
I know, it's true.
You know,
but you know what? It makes it hard to
identify who's on the screen.
Exactly right.
But even during the regular season, like sometimes they'll bust out the rainbow, like the Alex English fat lever, which are sweet. And then they'll have the one where they had the little, the pick where you bang away at the rock, the gold pick, whatever it is. Then they had the crossed picks. Then they have the mile-high one last night. They got some sweet gear.
Is there a restriction to how many uniforms you can
I don't
wear?
know, but it looks
good.
good.
But it's funny because you say that, and sometimes I'll catch them. I'm like, wait, who's playing?
Yeah.
And I know who's playing because it's the playoffs. But I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, they got sweet gear.
Is that the Warriors? Seriously.
Okay, here's another reason why I'm really happy. And if I got to drop something on you that I really hope you challenge me on, I really hope.
Happy for whom?
Happy for me.
Okay, go ahead.
Who else would I have? Happy for me.
I thought you were happy for me. You thought you were talking about Damian Lillard.
I'm happy for Damian Lillard, but I'm happy for me because based on Damian Lillard's actions last night, it gives me the chance to perfectly illuminate one of my primary points whenever I'm done with this radio medium. Put it on my tombstone. This guy said this a lot and was right. And here it is. It drives me crazy. And you know this. And the names I always reference, my guy Ewing, Barkley, Stockton, Malone. It drives me, and others. It drives me crazy. Dave Bing is an old name for you that didn't win a championship. It drives me nuts that we are on this society where it's just about the championship. If you don't have a championship, you didn't accomplish it, which is garbage.
Yeah, you're not in the conversation in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, which is nonsense, but it is what it is. So we have to sift through that mindless rhetoric, and we have to actually get to a point that's intelligent. And here's that intelligent point.
Go ahead.
Let's say that the Blazers play the Nuggets. Let's say the Blazers win in 6 or 7, and then let's say they lose to either the Warriors or the Rockets in, say, 5, 6, or 7. Mm-hmm. What happened last night will be largely forgotten.
Yeah.
In the subtext of the incredibly far-reaching history of the NBA, people in 15 or 20 years will forget that he just drove a stake in the career, in the heart of Russell Westbrook's career. Bounced him in the first round, drilled the 37-footer in Paul George's mug, and then said, bye-bye, get lost. Get off the court, you're done again.
I don't know if that one will be forgotten.
Okay, but it won't be illuminated. People who know the game, they'll, oh, wow, remember when Damian Lillard, oh, that was a great moment. But then you'll get back to the nonsense of, but he never won the championship. Because I don't think that Damian Lillard's going to win a championship.
No, I don't.
I
don't think so either, but isn't that the narrative of Damian Lillard, though, that he just can't win a championship, even when he had LaMarcus Aldridge on this squad?
Well, what's so good about LaMarcus Aldridge?
Nothing, but at one point, he was the second star on the Portland Trailblazers.
Doesn't mean he was a legitimate second star.
It doesn't matter. It is what it is.
No, it's not, though.
They viewed him as a star, and they couldn't get to the championship. They didn't even play for one, right? Did they even play for a Western Conference? I don't know.
No, second round. But how is that Lillard's fault? Just because people improperly identified LaMarcus Aldridge,
it's not.
How's that Lillard's fault?
It's not Lillard's fault at all. But it is the narrative of Damian Lillard's career.
Not for me, it's not.
It is.
No, but I'm saying, for me, it's not. But it shouldn't be.
Okay,
it's not fair. It's not accurate.
Well, the great. I don't know what to call you. Sage. Brandon Tierney is viewing Damian Lillard's career different than everybody else who looks at Damian Lillard's career.
Yes, I'm a firm believer in original thought. Just because somebody says it doesn't mean I subscribe to it.
But it's the reality. He hasn't gotten to the Western Conference Finals, BT.
But it doesn't
He's one of the great players in our game. He has not gotten to the Western Conference Finals.
You just made my point. No, now I can agree with you. You just said he's one of the great players.
I haven't even made my point yet because you're jumping on me about the history of Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard's history with the Portland Trailblazers, regardless who's surrounding him, C.J. McCollum is great.
He's not great. He's very good.
He's coming.
He's not great.
He's coming.
C.J. McCollum's not great.
I love him. He's coming.
So do I. He's not great. He's good.
Marcus Aldridge.
He's good.
He is what he was, but they viewed him as great. They couldn't get to the Western Conference Finals. He could never even play for one. Right?
Okay.
That is the narrative that will stick with Damian Lillard probably for his entire career.
Until they dispels it.
Because it's not going to happen this year.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's going to happen next year because even if the Warriors split up and Kevin Durant comes to New York, James Harden and the Houston Rockets are only going to get better, right? So the Western Conference it seems like it's never going to work for Damian Lillard.
I agree.
As much as that sucks.
I agree.
For Damian Lillard. So the narrative of his career is that he can't get there, right?
That's the lazy narrative. That's what I'm telling you. That's the lazy narrative. That's not a good narrative.
Hold on. That's the lazy narrative, yes, but it is the narrative, correct? Can we agree about that?
It's the mainstream narrative, but it's not my narrative.
Okay, but can we agree that that's
I can agree that that's the overriding narrative. Now, I can give you that.
Now, when you have a guy like that, like Charles Barkley, like Allen Iverson, whoever it is, like there's
at least AI got to the finals, the one trip.
He did. Yep. But there's narratives about
stepped over Ty Lue. Dragged him.
What do we remember about Allen Iverson?
And then he dragged Ty Lue and he hit the three?
Exactly. I don't even know if it was a three, but whatever.
I think it was from the corner. Maybe a long two.
But when guys like that, like Allen Iverson, like Charles Barkley, like all those guys you mentioned, there's a moment in their postseason history that you just don't forget. Like you don't forget Allen Iverson stepping over Ty Lue in the NBA Finals.
Long two, by the way, Mike said. Thank you, Mike.
But Damian, that play, just to go back to your original point, that play with Damian Lillard scoring 50, right, and clearing everybody out. Like, all right, guys, get outside the three-point line. Let's make this available for me. Whatever I want to do, make it available for me. Whether I'm going to take Paul George off the dribble, which he could do, even though he's not a super athlete, but he could take Paul George off the dribble, get to the hole, and make a shot or whatever it is, make the game winner. Whatever he's going to do, we were set up for him to do it until he did this. Nobody expected him to do this. This is memorable. And in the history of Damian Lillard's career, if he doesn't go to the NBA Finals, or even getting a deep one in the Western Conference Finals. That's what I think you're wrong. I think
that's fine.
This defines what Damian Lillard is about, more than anything. And I think that's a great thing for him, right? Because it's not his fault, his team. He's not surrounded by.
Well, we're on the same page. That is certainly a good thing for him,
But you're saying it's going to get forgotten. I don't think it is going to get forgotten.
I think it will.
You know why? Because people will always remember Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, who averaged a triple-double for 3 damn seasons in a row.
Yep.
Right? Who had 21-14 or 11-14 last night, but was still largely, what did he shoot, 11 for 31?
Look what he shot. Barely
11 for 31.
30%, 11 for 31.
It's ridiculous. We'll talk about Russell Westbrook, and by extension, we'll talk about why Russell Westbrook was a failure, and Damian Lillard's going to rise to the top of that.
But even if you're right about that, that's still inherently unfair to Damian Lillard, because the way that you just presented that, the only way that we really get to Damian Lillard is by pointing out that Russell Westbrook didn't play well.
But it's also the reality.
That's not right.
It's the reality of the Western Conference. He at some point is going to face a team that is significantly better staffed than the Portland Trailblazers.
Okay.
That is what it is.
I agree with you on that.
That is what it is.
No, I agree.
And it's not his fault. I don't blame Damian Lillard. There used to be a point where you'd say, Damian Lillard just isn't good enough. He can't make that team good. That's what I used to say. That's not what I'm saying anymore. Now I'm saying Damian Lillard's team is not good enough. He is. His team is not good enough.
Okay, but again, what you veered it from my primary point. And what you say at the end, I completely agree with you on. My primary point is that through the laziness of pseudo-basketball fans, I'm projecting this 15, 20 years down the road. And this is a thing that has always bothered me and always will. The subtext of one's career.
Yep.
We try to bullet point everything. MVP, championships, MVPs, everything else becomes a little murky and a little hazy. And if you actually know the games and you watch them and you're a historian or you're a devout fan, you remember them. But those numbers are dwindling. And I just don't think that the future will be kind to Damian Lillard the way it should be. And I'm pointing out last night as a reason you can't forget what he did.
I don't think people will.
I'm telling you, Tiki, I've been doing this 20 years. People will forget. They'll forget. They'll forget.
Yeah, the lay fan.
They'll forget.
The lay fan will forget, but I don't even think they really even knew in the first place. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I think it does matter for Damian Lillard. That's the whole point.
Are you going to forget?
No.
Well, am I going to forget? No, because I watch it. I watch it in real time. You don't forget what he just did.
I understand that.
So.
But even Alvin Iverson had an MVP. You talk about the big shot.
It's true.
That you don't forget from the player who maybe didn't win a championship. If I was to say to you, what's Ewing's big moment? Sadly, people would point out the missed finger roll against the Pacers in Game 7 in '95. They wouldn't talk about playing with a calf injury and knocking down jump shots with Akeem Olajuwon hanging on him in the '94, even though he didn't play that. We shot 37%. Or with Rick Smits, who was 7'4", knocking down these fallaways. Or what's Charles Barkley's signature shot? Maybe the three at the top of the key with the Suns.
So long ago, yeah, probably.
Yeah, long ago, but still, it's still within the context of the league. I mean, so I just listen. The easiest thing would be to get on the air and rip Russell Westbrook, rip him.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that we gave this young man props because another thing I agree with you on. I've changed the way I view him, too. And not just because of last night.
No.
My question about Lillard, would he be efficient enough? There was an efficiency, not a motor thing,
no.
Not a toughness thing, not a skill set thing. Would he put the ball in the hole frequently enough to play efficient basketball for a couple of months, what it requires to get to the finals? Now, you tell me LaMarcus Aldridge. I think LaMarcus Aldridge is a B. If I'm grading on the curve, he's a B. If I'm grading like a tough teacher, he's a B-. So good about LaMarcus Aldridge, honestly. Yeah, I'm watching him last night. He misses a layup.
I know.
Like, what is so good about LaMarcus Aldridge?
Nothing.
That's what I mean.
And that's not my point, though. My point is Damian Lillard we thought it was Damian Lillard, too. It's not.
No, it's not even close.
It's what's around him.
He is the asset. He is the answer. He is great. I'm going to use the word. He's great.